Hey friends, welcome back to Stappystamper. My name is Terry Stapp and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Central Texas. Today we're going to be making another Christmas card and we'll be using a couple of techniques. There's actually no stamping on this card, but we will be using some embossing and a nail file to do some sanding. So this is the card that we're going to make today. Opens like that. And you'll notice there's the spotlight technique. So if you remember back to the sunflower embossing folder videos, we used the we used the spotlight technique on that video. And then if you remember back to the third sunflower embossing folder video, we use the sanding technique on this one. So we're actually using both of these techniques today on this one card. Now, the materials you're going to need, I'm going to go over them and then I'm going to put up a slide that has all of the measurements. If you want to pause the video on that slide, you can cut your papers and do any prep that you need to do, and then push play again, and we can actually put this card together. Okay, you're going to need some a card base. Now, I used thick basic white for my card base. This is cut at 11 by 4.5 and it's scored at, oh my goodness, today. It is cut 11 by 4.25. It is scored at 5.5. I have a little 1/4-inch strip of old olive. I have 2 pieces of old olive that are cut at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I have a piece of basic white that is cut at 5 1/4 by 4, and I ran the end through the embossing folder, the plaid embossing folder, just that one end, just to give it a little interest on the inside. You're going to need another piece of basic white. This is cut at 4 3/4 by 3.5. Then we have a piece of cherry cobbler 2-tone cardstock. So it is cut at 4 5/8 by 3 3/8. And it is run through the Christmas Words hybrid embossing folder. You can use that embossing folder 2 different ways. One way is as an embossing folder, and we'll talk about the other way next week, the hybrid part. So I ran it through the embossing folder, and when I did, I really paid attention and placed. I knew I wanted "'Tis the Season" to be my spotlight part, the part that I'm going to cut out. So I really paid attention when I put it inside of the embossing folder, where I wanted this to line up. So you kind of have to play around with it and see what part of the embossing folder do you want to highlight. When I did "'Tis the Season," I aligned it and I left a little bit on the bottom and a little bit on the right-hand side, ran it through the embossing folder. Then I took my 2-inch circle and I cut out the part that says "'Tis the Season." This is where the nail buffer came in, because then I just kind of ran this over the top of "'Tis the Season," and it took that cherry cobbler bit off, the color off, and it left the white core exposed. So now my greeting on this card says "'Tis the Season." You're also going to need a 2 1/4 circle in white. I have some rhinestone gems jewels, rhinestone basic jewels. And I have some of that amazing silver ribbon that came out. I think it came out last year, but I had some of that. It came out in silver and in gold. I'm using silver today. All right, those are the materials that we need. So I'm going to pop up the slide. Go ahead and gather your materials, and I'll meet you right back here. All righty, welcome back. Let's go ahead and put our card together. We're going to start with the inside of the card. So I've pulled my card base, one piece of the old olive that is cut at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I have my piece of basic white that is cut at 5 1/4 by 4, and the bottom part has been run through an embossing folder. And then I have my little 1/4 inch strip of old olive. So we're going to start, we're going to glue this bit here so I can tell where the embossing folder ended or began, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm just going to run a little bead of glue across there and put my 1/4 inch strip along the bottom of my card. I do want to get it straight. Okay, looks good. Now you notice it sticks out, so I'm going to take my snips and I'm just going to snip off this end and this end, and then I have a nice flush trim on the inside of my card. Super simple for the inside. This piece is going to get glued to my old olive. And then the inside of my card is put together. So I'm going to take this and adhere this piece to the inside of my card, just like this. All right, inside is all done. Now, let's talk about the outside of the card. So for the outside of the card, let's go ahead and start with our 4 3/4 by 3 1/2 piece of basic white and our piece of two-tone cardstock, our Cherry Cobbler two-tone cardstock. So first things first, these two are going to get put together. This basic white is the matte for the Cherry Cobbler. And I think I'm just going to put a little dot of glue here so that corner doesn't lift. There we go. And let's put these together. Making sure it's straight. Lovely. Now this is going to get matted on the other piece of 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 old olive. It has a larger border around it, so just, be careful. Use your eyeballs and get it placed to where there is that 1/4 inch border all the way around each side. Adhesive goes on the back here. And we're going to put it right on here. Nice and straight, hopefully. Okay, our ribbon is next. I'm going to take the silver ribbon and I'm going to wrap it around. I want it to go right across the middle of this circle. So I'm just going to take this One of the things I love about this, or loved, I don't know if it's still available or not, but it was amazing. And it ties so well and adds a ton of sparkle to your project. So I'm going to just kind of spread out these pieces here, and I'm going to take my ribbon scissors and I'm just going to trim the end like that and like that. Okay, now this piece is going to get matted on our card front, just like that. Here we go. I'm going to add some adhesive here. I'm going to go right across here and then right down here. All right, let's get this matted on the front of the card. And we are almost done, y'all. Once you have all your pieces together, this comes together super fast. Okay. For our greeting, we have the piece that we cut out with the 2-inch circle. We have our piece of basic white that's the 2 1/4 inch circle, and we're just going to put those two together. And then we're going to use some dimensionals. Where are they? There they are. I'm going to pull 3 dimensionals. And I'm going to put 2 up here, 1 down there. And then this is the spotlight technique. So we use the sanding technique on here and the spotlight technique. So we've cut out the piece and then matted it on another piece and then made it pop out so we can spotlight it. And once again, just like with the sunflower one, I'm going to kind of, I still have kind of bits of words. I don't want to just stick it. I want to make sure that these kind of match back up as best as they can. And I want my sentiment to be straight as well. Okay. That looks pretty good right there. All right, we're going to finish this off with some rhinestones. We're going to put one right down here. And I'm going to take a medium one and put it right up here. And then I'm going to take a small one and I'm going to put it right there. And y'all, that is super quick to put together. Come on, there we go. No, there we go. Super quick to put together. I don't know if the camera really does it justice or not. In person, it is striking. It's very visually interesting. I just don't know if it comes off quite as well on camera, but give it a try and let me know what you think. All right, next week we'll be using the Christmas Words embossing folder the second way versus the embossing folder. We're going to be using the hybrid piece as a die cut. So we'll be making another card or another project with that. Until then, happy stamping.